Hey Canosaurs, it's Rod with Pow Group. Welcome back on The Pursuit of Wealth, your home for MJ stocks, crypto assets, news, and interviews. Also home to the best MJ community. Today is Tuesday, August 13th. Hope you're doing fantastic. And in this video, we're going to be discussing some big news out today. SNDL will be acquiring Nova MJ. I think this is something that pretty much everybody saw coming down the line. But we saw SNDL up about 6% at the close, and Nova MJ was up almost 40% from the low of yesterday. There was a huge premium on the deal. So Nova and obviously their shareholders are very excited about the deal and the price action today. Before we get to it though, make sure to smash the like. It helps support me in the channel. Doesn't cost you anything. If you're new, you can subscribe, tick the bell, all that good stuff. You'll be notified on any future videos or when I go live. As always, this is not financial advice. I am not a financial advisor, and you should never buy or sell anything based on anything that I say or write. And full disclosure, I do own SNDL in my portfolio. You can also follow us over on X, formerly Twitter. The handle for that is @GroupPow. Going to be using that as my platform of choice going forward. It's the best way for me to get real-time updates out to the community. And also, just in case we ever get shut down on YouTube, it's a great idea to have multiple forms of communication. So we'll go through the details. SNDL to acquire remaining minority interest of Nova MJ. So SNDL and Nova execute arrangement agreement with key shareholder support. So the two companies today announced that they have entered into an arrangement agreement pursuant to which SNDL will acquire all of the issued and outstanding common shares of capital of Nova, not already owned by SNDL, representing approximately 34.8% of Nova shares by way of statutory plan of arrangement for aggregate consideration of approximately $40 million. All financial information in this press release are in Canadian dollars. And we heard that on the SNDL call and on the video that I posted reviewing their earnings, that they were sitting on a boatload of cash. And now we know what they were planning to do with that cash, right? And like I said, I think this was the ultimate goal. I don't think this really took anybody by surprise, maybe the timing of it. But ultimately, I think this is where we were headed. And the fact that they're sitting on that much cash makes a lot of sense. Today's announcement by our Alberta-based corporations underscores our commitment to sustainable performance in the Canadian MJ space, said Zach George, SNDL CEO. We are committed to building a consumer-centric model at scale, supported by SNDL's robust shared service model, access to capital, and a well-developed MJ retail pipeline. These factors are integral to the achievement of sustained profitable growth. So the transaction benefits, they talk about retail expertise. Nova's expertise will support SNDL's entire MJ portfolio, expand programs, advance staff training initiatives, and optimize inventory management. They talk about synergies and cost rationalization, access to capital. SNDL's robust balance sheet will ensure that Nova's retail platform continues to be supported in a competitive and challenging environment. Under the terms of the agreement, Nova shareholders will receive $1.75 in cash for each Nova share. And if you take a look at the price at the close, NOVC was 172. And the high of the day today, we actually hit 173, so we came very close to that deal price. But from the low of yesterday, we were up 38.5%, so almost 40%. Obviously, market reacting well to that, and the reason why is because we were trading so much lower than that 175 deal price, right? So this represents a premium of 41.2% to the 20-day volume-weighted average price VWAP of Nova shares on the TSX as of market close on August 12, 2024, so yesterday. And typically, in the MJ space, we see a premium of around 20%, somewhere around that. That's kind of the industry average. 30 is considered amazing. 41%, just north of it, that is fantastic. But I think a lot of that premium has to do with the fact that they already had a partnership, right? Nova shareholders also have the ability to elect to receive in lieu of cash consideration 0.58, so just over half of a common share of SNDL for each Nova share, and collectively with the cash consideration subject to proration, and a maximum of 50% of the aggregate consideration being payable in SNDL shares. In the transaction, if the transaction has been approved by the board of directors of SNDL and Nova and is expected to close on or before October 18th of this year. Following the closing of the transaction, Nova shares are expected to be delisted from the TSX, and Nova will apply to cease to be a reporting issuer in all provinces and territories of Canada. So if you're a NOVC shareholder, essentially you're going to receive, like I said, that 1.75 in cash for each Nova share, or in lieu of cash consideration, 0.58 of the common share of SNDL. So basically half of your NOVC, a little over half of your NOVC shares. So if you're wondering, that's how you'll be affected. Shareholder approval. The transaction will be carried out by way of court-approved plan of arrangement under the Business Corporations Act of Alberta, pursuant to which SNDL will acquire all of the issued and outstanding Nova shares not already owned by SNDL. The implementation of the transaction will be subject to, among other things, the approval of at least 2/3 of Nova shares voted by Nova shareholders, as well as the requisite approval to the majority of disinterested Nova shareholders under, talks about different special transactions. We'll go through all of that. Transaction is subject to the receipt of a court approval from the Court of King's Bench of Alberta and other customary closing conditions. Nova board approval and voting recommendation. We'll go through that in effort of time. We'll take a look at the chart here in just a moment as well on SNDL. Transaction details, yes. So this is the last thing I'll cover. The agreement provides for, among other things, customary support and non-solicitation covenants from Nova, including customary fiduciary out provisions that allow Nova to accept a superior proposal in certain circumstances. The agreement also provides for the payment of a termination fee of $800,000 payable to SNDL by Nova in the event that the transaction is terminated in certain specified circumstances. So overall, I think, like I said, I think we all pretty much expected this eventually, just maybe not this soon, but overall, I think this makes a lot of sense and is a smart move. And I'm not actually a shareholder of NOVC. I own quite a bit of SNDL, but if I were a Nova shareholder, I'd definitely be in favor of this. But like I said, as of yesterday, we were up almost 40% off of the low, and we closed the day up over 34%. And on SNDL, we're looking at confirming a daily uptrend here as well after daily EMA 12 and 26 bear cross and daily consolidation the past couple days. But we closed the day just under 6%. But from the low of yesterday to the high of the day today, we were up just under 7%. So we have our low, high, higher low. We're looking for a higher high to be back into a daily uptrend. Most important factor along a lot of these MJ names are monthly uptrends, and SNDL is actually in a monthly uptrend. So the high to break on the daily time frame is 216. Break that, we're in a daily uptrend. On the weekly time frame, we're looking for, this could be a head and shoulders here as well. I drew this out not too long ago. There's a very high chance that this could potentially play out. I'm not putting the target on it, because if we were to see that target play out, you'd be looking at a drop down to around $1. I don't think that's the most likely scenario. We could still see an EMA 12 and 26 bear cross here on the weekly time frame, but it's not looking too hot right now in terms of a medium term perspective, short to medium term perspective. More than likely over the next few weeks we could see some turbulence, but we look at the chart, and unfortunately, I wish I could say that we had a EMA 12 and 26 bull cross lining up and a golden cross, but we have a death cross that's potentially looming as well with the 50-day above the 200-day moving average. If those were to cross, that would not be good. We could potentially see this weekly head and shoulders play out, the EMA 12 and 26 bear cross. So we'll just continue to monitor it. But, in terms of the weekly, I'm not too concerned. We could still pull back on the monthly time frame all the way down to $1.30 and still just be fine. You can see we're in a monthly uptrend. We have our low, high of the bounce at 236. We had a higher low there at 130, and then once we broke 236, that gave us our monthly uptrend. Now we're just trying to maintain this monthly EMA 12 here as support. You can see we dipped below it, but bulls trying to salvage that and buy the dip. So as of right now, we're just monthly consolidation with some monthly inside bar as well. So just a tightening range, which means if you look on the weekly and the daily time frame and any shorter level time frames, it's going to be choppy. When you have a monthly inside bar like that, it just means we're tightening up and we're within the same trading range of the previous month. So we don't really have any clear direction up or down, right? So as of right now, I think we could see a little bit more downside or sideways action before we trend higher. I think, the fact that SNDL is in a monthly uptrend is great to see, but there's other names that haven't confirmed monthly uptrends yet, which leads me to believe that we might see, some of that rotation happen, and we might see names that haven't confirmed monthly uptrends confirm them, and then money should start to flow back into SNDL. So, like I said, don't be surprised if we do pull back. Like OGI had fantastic earnings today. And for some reason it was showing negative EPS today, and they came in just under positive 0.03 cents per share. I mentioned this in my video. It looks like they corrected it, so good on TradingView. But this name's still yet to confirm a monthly uptrend, but it's looking good. We have our low, high, higher low. We need the higher high, so it's all about 291. So once OGI and other names in the space like CGC, same deal, just looking for a monthly higher low, then we still need the higher high. We're actually still in a monthly downtrend on CGC. So we could potentially see some rotation and just leaders and laggards. And SNDL has been a leader, right? Monthly uptrend is already confirmed, so that's great to see, but it could act as a laggard to some of those other laggards that have yet to do so. And then once the other names in the space confirm monthly uptrends, money should start to flow back into SNDL. If you're wondering like, oh, we don't care about them, well, you should, because if the whole MJ space isn't in a monthly uptrend, both American companies, Canadian companies, international companies, right? The more names that are in monthly uptrends, the better it is for each individual respective MJ stock, right? Because you need the whole sector moving together, and the sector doesn't trade on fundamentals. It doesn't trade on positive earnings, right? And the reason why is because the sector's so nascent and young, and it moves together, right? It doesn't matter if you have fantastic financials, because at the end of the day, a lot of these companies aren't even really, in their growth curve, right? The growth story hasn't even really played out. Like the U.S. hasn't even removed it from Schedule 1, right? It's still federally illegal in the U.S. So until that happens, we don't see expansion to the U.S., right? Germany looking to fast track Pillar 2, excise taxes, which SNDL is plagued by because it's also a producer, not just a retailer in MJ and alcohol. It's also a producer, so it gets hit with excise taxes. And right now it's a flat fee. So it could switch to a percentage fee, which could add, tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars to some of these companies' bottom lines. So in my opinion, looking at these financials now, even in the U.S., it really doesn't paint the whole story, because a lot of these U.S. operators are only selecting a few key states. What happens when they have to expand to the rest of the U.S. and then internationally, right? That's going to take huge CapEx, capital expenditures, and dipping into their cash reserves, right? So in my opinion, it's looking good, but SNDL in the weekly time frame, we still yet to see. We just had a bear cross on the stochastic. MACD still yet to see a bull cross. So it's a pretty mixed bag right now. And again, when you have a monthly inside bar like that, it's very choppy. And as of right now, we're back testing the weekly moving averages, so that's great to see. And we could see the 50 and the 100 cross bullish when the shorter terms are below the longer term across. That's a great sign, right? But just a little worried about this death cross here in terms of the price action. We could see some turbulence and some downward pressure and headwinds from that. So the fact that we're looking at the weekly head and shoulders, in order to confirm, we would need to lose support here at 175 to confirm it, and then that EMA 12 and 26 bear cross. The S&P 500 was heating up in a big way today as well, but like I said, I think SNDL, one of my top picks for sure, and I'm a very large shareholder, and I'm a very proud shareholder as well. I'll be holding it for a long time. I think it has what it takes to be top 10, top 5 globally. But overall, it's not, the charts are the charts, and unfortunately, it's just not super strong at the moment. So we'll see what happens, but don't be surprised if we do continue monthly consolidation. Like I said, we could easily pull back to 150, 140 and still be extremely healthy. If we get down to that 130, then that's where we flirt with major support. That if we lose that, then we lose the monthly uptrend. So that is the line in the sand from here. But the low of 2 months ago was 181. So that's key support. Lose that. And then, like I said, we're looking at around, somewhere around that 160, 150 area, which would be a buy all day long, in my opinion. Not telling you to buy, sell, or hold, but if we do dip back down to, 160, 150, I'll definitely be loading the boat. But let me know what you think of this news. Is this something that you saw coming? Do you agree with this? Is this a positive thing in your opinion? Going to end it there, it's Rod with Pow Group. Thanks again for joining us in the pursuit of wealth. Drop a comment. We'll continue the conversation in the comment section below. All right, enjoy the rest of your night, and we'll see you on the next video.